Hey everybody, time for another Trig Nibble, and I'm calling this one Transforming Your Key Points. Trig Nibble, transforming your key points. So let me change to the desktop here. Okay, you should be able to see it. When you're going to graph sine or cosine, it's good to do 5 key points. And generally the 5 key points are 0. Okay, it's not going to work the way I want. Let's try this again. Generally the key points are 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. And you can use those as key points because you know that it's cyclic. If it does it over here, then it's going to do it over there. So once you've drawn it out for those 5 key points, you know it's going to continue both directions that way. But what do you do if, for instance, your textbook gives you an example and the example says y equals 2 cosine of 4 in parentheses x plus pi over 4 close paren, close paren. What do? Those key points aren't going to be very useful to you anymore. How do you figure out what the key points you want are, the 5 key points? It's a 2-step process, but let's talk about first what is kind of the, lack of a better term, standard equation for a cosine or a sine. Like in this case, your standard equation would be y equals a cosine of b times x plus c. Oh, not plus. See, I'm going to get it early this time. I always do it. Oh, look at that. It just got rid of the x. That's cool. That's cool. X minus c plus d. And in this case, if we look at our problem up here, and we can close that. If we look at our problem up here, a is equal to 2. And of course, it'd be absolute value if you want your amplitude. B is equal to 4. C is equal to, don't make the mistake, it's not pi over 4. It's negative pi over 4, right? Because remember the negative sign right there. And then D is equal to 0. So we have some basic ideas, but I still haven't gotten you any closer to how do I transform my key points. We only really care about 2 things in here. We care about the B and we care about the C. So we care about the B and we care about the C. And just a quick side note, if your B is negative, just remember 2 important things and get rid of the negative. You know that sine of negative x equals sine, negative sine of x. And you know that cosine of negative x equals cosine of x. So basically, don't leave the b negative. Pull the b, the negative sign, out of the b. With sine, you got to put it, just put it on the outside of the sign, put it in front of the a. And with cosine, just get rid of it. Because in cosine, it's y-axis symmetric, so you can just get rid of it. Just remember that. So that's why we're only going to worry about b's that are positive. It doesn't really, I mean, let's be serious. B affects your period, and would you talk about negative periods? It doesn't really make much sense. So we got to deal with that, and it's 2 steps. And I want you to remember these 2 steps, and you got to do it in this order. Step number 1, take care of your B. And we're going to do that by divide by B. Number 2, take care of your C. And to do that, we're going to add our C. Got that? 2 steps. Take care of the B, take care of the C. Take care of the B, we're going to divide by it. Take care of the C, we're going to add it. So what does that mean in this case? We have the original. Let's go with our original set. We have 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi. That's a normal set of key points. Okay, let's go ahead and divide by B. What's 0 divided by 4? Because remember, B is 4. 0 divided by 4 is 0. What is pi over 2 divided by 4? So we're going to divide by 4 to get this. It's pi over 8. What's pi divided by 4? Pi over 4. What's 3 pi over 2 divided by 4? 3 pi over 8. And then finally, what's 2 pi divided by 4? It's pi over 2. Now notice this. This is something that's really important. If you wanted to figure out your phase, you say it is 2 pi for sine and cosine. Not talking tangent, cotangent, sine and cosine. It's 2 pi over b. And in this case, 2 pi over 4 equals pi over 2. So let's look at this. If I go from 0 to 2 pi with my normal set of key points, you'll notice that's 2 pi. If I go from 0 to pi over 2, what's my complete set of key points? Pi over 2. So now you basically have gotten, at least to start, the right shrinkage, you're going to call that shrinkage of your phase. So you've got that. So now we have done step 1. We have taken care of step 1. Let's get ourselves a huge, big check mark. We've done step 1. So now let's go to step 2. Step 2 is we need to add our c. What was our c again? We're going to add negative pi over 4. So let's start again. We have our new set after the b, 0, pi over 8, pi over 4, 3 pi over 8, and pi over 2. And we're going to add a negative 4. 0 plus negative pi over negative 4 is negative pi over 4. Pi over 8, right over here, pi over 8 plus negative pi over 4. What's that equal? That's right, negative pi over 8. What's pi over 4 plus negative pi over 4? It's 0. What's 3 pi over 8 plus negative pi over 4? So let's do that one again. So if we have 3 pi over 8 and plus negative pi over 4, negative pi over 4 is the same as negative 2 pi over 8. So it's 3 pi over 8 minus 2 pi over 8. Well, it's pi over 8. And then finally, pi over 2 minus pi over 4, or plus negative pi over 4, it's going to be pi over 4. And by the way, still note that the entire set of key points is pi over 2, which is our new period. So now, if you're going to deal with this original function up here, this 2 cosine, let me bring it down here. We have our function here. Let's bring it back down. If we're going to take our 2 cosine of 4 times x plus pi over 4, we know d is not there. We know that our key points for that function are going to be negative pi over 4, negative pi over 8, 0, pi over 8, and pi over 4. And the neat thing about it is, we do have to deal with this 2 because that's going to affect our amplitude. But if we didn't have the 2, this is going to be as if it had started at 0. Cosine at 0 is 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 1. Right? So now if you fill it in with your 2, it's going to be 2, 0, negative 2, 0, 2. Let me make sure I'm not being an idiot. Look at that. That's what the book says too. Awesome. See, I do this all risque. Not that I'm going to publish a video if I'm totally wrong. But sure enough, the book ends up with those pairs. You end up with negative pi over 4, comma 2, negative pi over 8, comma 0, 0, comma negative 2, pi over 8, 0, and then pi over 4, comma 2. Let me look at the book again. Yeah, I'm right. So there you go. This is how you transform it. Remember, 2 steps. Let me scroll back up. 2 steps. Take care of your b. Take care of your b by dividing. Divide. After you take care of your b, you get your list. Then take care of your c by adding it. And just remember, in the formula to figure out your c, there's this little negative here, which means if it's a positive value, your c is negative. If it's a negative value, your c is positive. And what I mean by that is if you have x plus 1/4, it's going to be negative 1/4. If you have x minus 1/4, it's going to be positive 1/4. because the formula here, the formula there takes care of it. Hopefully that helps. If you want to get a hold of me, just go with Alan at math.promo. Alan, A-L-A-N, at math, M-A-T-H, .promo, P-R-O-M-O. And if, let's see if I'm pointing, all right, down bottom, below the IUEs, keep going down, and you'll see math.promo. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.